to someone who won a World Relay Gold, like our previous guest, and a World Championship Silver in 2019 in one of the great races of the championship. An unusual double being attempted tomorrow, the women's 60-meter hurdles and the women's 500 meters. She's already an Olympian from the age of 17 in Rio, and her personal best at 60 indoors goes back even further than that to 2015. There must be a story behind that one. Welcome, Sydney McLaughlin. And just give us a quick spin through the last year, because the last time you and I met, it was to make a rather sad walk across the infield to announce that you weren't running because of a twinge last year. How was the twinge? How was your year? How are you now? And masks off for the questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, this last year has been definitely a transition since Grand Prix last year, just kind of figuring out body work and everything. I'm now with a new coach. I'm with Bobby Kersey and that group. So kind of just navigating that and seeing what we want to do moving forward in terms of this year and how we want to handle things. I know last year with COVID has just been something completely different to navigate. So we've really just been focusing on our race and handling that the best way we know possible. So.
Thank you, Sid. I can see Larry's already got his hand up for the first question. So Larry, go for it.
Hi, Sydney. It's cool to hear that you're with Bobby Kersey. I recall talking to Allison Felix, and she would say that Bobby always wanted her to do the 400 hurdles. So now that he's got a 400-meter hurdler, how's it going with him?
It's been really well. I'm really excited about what we have going. The chemistry seems really great, and yeah, he absolutely loves this event. So it's been really fun to just learn from him and to have these practices where we can really break down my race and move forward with it.
Cool. Thank you.
Jonathan?
Yeah, Sydney, I'm curious, why did you decide to change coaches and leave Joanna Hayes?
I think, you know, I'd seen Bobby out at the track a couple of times while we were at UCLA, and he was helping for a while just kind of with the hurdling technique, and I think the chemistry kind of clicked, and, you know, we felt that it was a good decision with, you know, the Olympics being postponed. If I was to want to switch coaches, that was the year to do it. So it kind of just all worked out perfectly in terms of making the switch. And yeah, we all still see each other at the track, and it's all good vibes. But I think just in terms of my race and really breaking it down, as someone who ran the 400 hurdles, Bobby has a lot of knowledge in it.
Eric?
Sydney, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. If the 60 hurdles is part of the program, we know what these schedules card is always subject to change. But if it is part of the program, can you take me back to 2015 New Balance Indoors and what memories you have from that? And is this something, since you can't run 400 hurdles indoors, is this something that excites you?
It definitely excites me. You know, it's been 6 years now, which is crazy to think about since I've short hurdled indoors. I was a sophomore in high school, and that was, yeah, New Balance Nationals. But I think the reason I had stopped actually short hurdling was because I kept having a repetitive issue with my groin. But just getting back to that actually has been really fun for me, and it's been great to work on my hurdle technique, but also the speed behind the race. So, you know, I'm just excited to get back to something that I used to love to do. So,
if I could just ask a quick follow-up, is it in Bobby's desire or plan then to also throw in a 100 hurdles race outdoors as well?
I'm not sure, but nothing would surprise me at this point, so we'll see.
I saw Sieg had his hand up and then it's gone down. Sieg, did you have a question, or shall I move on to someone who's already asked a question?
I have decided not to ask a question.
Okay. Larry, we'll go back to you.
Sydney, so here's a question. You're one of the few athletes that successfully moved from being a very young high school and college runner to going pro and being able to do it successfully. What would you, so let's put you in a room with a group of young women, talented young women athletes who have that, they've got managers and families saying, you know, this is your time, what would you tell them from your experience about going pro so early? And not that you're not experiencing the college experience, but deciding that instead of doing the NCAA route, you're going to go pro and see where you can go.
I think everybody's journey is different. For me, I knew college was something I at least wanted to just get to experience. So I think the biggest thing when you're making that kind of a transition is just making sure that your support system and you are all on the same page. I don't think I would have been able to make that transition if they weren't. My family and my parents were so supportive behind the scenes, and you know, they helped put me in a position so that I could just go out there and do what I love and make that transition so smooth. So I think just understanding that everybody's journey is different and just trusting, you know, your speed of things as opposed to wanting to rush the process is really what makes, you know, that transition as flawless as possible.
Thank you.
Alex?
Hey, Sydney, Alex with On Her Turf and NBC Sports. Curious, now that you're training with Bobby, are you also training with Allison on the track every day?
Yeah, yes.
How has that been for you, given both that you looked up to her for a while and kind of her career as legend?
Yeah, it's honestly great. I learn so much every day at practice, just being out there and watching, you know, how she handles things and learning what I can from her. So it's been a really great experience being around both her and Bobby, and just at a young age being able to soak up as much as I can, you know, as she's at the end of her career.
Just a couple of follow-ups on that. I'm curious, like, are you doing similar workouts to her, the same workouts some days?
For the most part, the workouts are the same. You know, when we get to the more technical, hers is more sprinting, mine is more hurdle based. So the more core of our training is definitely the same, but we do have days where we're more focused on our specific events.
And then I remember Allison once saying that when she gets to the track for practice with Bobby, she has no idea what's coming, when it's going to end. And is that still the same? And is that what you're now doing?
It is still the same, yes. I personally like it that way. I don't like knowing what we're doing beforehand. But yeah, there are some days where it's really quick and some days where it just keeps on going. So it's always a surprise when we get there.
And is it just the two of you guys or anyone else in that group?
We have about 4 or 5 of us, a couple 400 hurdlers, a couple short hurdlers, and some sprinters.
Thanks, Sydney.
Karen?
Yes. Hi, Sydney. What's it like for you to be part of one of the biggest rivalries in women's track and one of the most anticipated races in Tokyo when you go head to head with Delilah?
It's an honor, honestly. I think to be a part of something that's so watched and so anticipated is kind of, it's motivating. There's always nerves and hype and everything on the side, but I think just to be able to, you know, be a part of something that is constantly pushing me to be my best is really an honor. You know, having to, you know, go into these races where it results in a world record, it pushes you to run even faster. So it's a really amazing experience to go out there and not know what could happen on any given day.
Do you think people really are expecting a world record when you get to Tokyo from whoever?
I think anything can happen at this point. You know, we saw 2 world records. You know, she broke it twice back in 2019. So I think it definitely can be lower than what it is right now.
Thank you.
Andrea?
Hi. So talking about the Olympics being delayed by a year, obviously it was a big physical challenge for everyone, but how was it for you mentally? I mean, to be so psyched to get back and compete again at the Olympics, because you were pretty young. First time.
Yeah, it's exciting. I think having this extra year has been personally for me a help, kind of just mentally grasping everything, especially with the coaching change. It's given me a lot more time to really break down my race and, you know, get into all of the intricate details that I haven't had time in the past to really focus on. So personally, I'd say that the extra time is a blessing for sure.
Jonathan, you've had your hand up for a bit.
Yeah. I'm curious, Sydney, why didn't you race at all last year? You know, why are you healthy, and what was the decision-making process not to race?
I think everything kind of shut down around the end of March. Before then, we were really just kind of focusing on staying healthy and just training through, especially after not running at the Grand Prix. Over the summer, I think, that's really when I decided to make that switch in coaching. So I didn't feel comfortable, racing in between that process. And, now that we've really settled into things, we're in a good place to be able to do that.
Eric?
Sydney, kind of following up on that, it's been 495 days since the relay in Doha. In your lifetime at Union Catholic Kentucky, there was probably 495 seconds that you wouldn't go between races, 495 minutes that you wouldn't go in between races. But how do you feel like you've taken advantage of that time? Not only mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. Obviously, you've been very prominent about the direction of your faith. I mean, how do you feel like you've evolved and developed and you've been blessed from this time, almost 500 days in between races?
That's a great question. I really do appreciate this time, not only to grow on the track, but so much more off the track over these 400 and wait, how many did you say? 95?
Yes.
Over that time,
Sorry.
just,
Yes.
Understanding who Sydney is away from track really brings a lot more purpose to every second that I spend on the track. So I've discovered a lot more who I am and understanding that track is not who I am, but it's what I do. So this time for me has been very important, just being able to differentiate the two so that I, going into this, understand that this is just something that I love to do and it doesn't define who I am.
Zeke, now you've got your hand up.
Yes, I do. Sydney, in working with Bobby, are there any specific aspects of your race plan or your preparation that you can share with us that you've identified as kind of the keys to running even faster and winning in Tokyo?
I think overall just having a race plan, understanding how many steps in between the hurdles, working on form, working on the start, things that in the past I really haven't done as much as just doing the training and then going out and running and seeing what happens. So, we've really broken down the race, not so much my race, but just the 400 hurdles in general and understanding, step patterns and takeoff and landing things, the little details that in the past maybe I haven't focused as much on.
Karen?
Yes, Sydney, are you doing anything special on social media to mark Black History Month?
There's a couple things that I think are coming up in terms of endorsement partnerships that are possibly going to come out, but not anything that I'm solo doing on my socials at the moment now.
And also, when you look back on the pandemic, like 20 years from now, what are you going to say is like your weirdest story of training? Did you have to jump a fence? Did you have to run in a park and fall in a hole? Things like that.
We've had the police called on us a couple times for sneaking into tracks, but we had to, fly all the way to Arizona just to get 2 weeks of training in because all the tracks in LA were closed. So we're just trying to make do with what we have.
What did you tell the police when you got caught? Did they let you go just with a little warning?
Yeah, no, they were just like, hey, the park is closed, the track is closed, but it was all good. Nobody got arrested, so.
Thank you.
Amelia?
Hi, Sydney. I think something that a lot of people have struggled with in the last year is just like boredom. We can't go anywhere. We can't do anything, can't go to restaurants, et cetera, et cetera. But you're someone who's known for sort of all of your special skills. You can juggle and all that sort of stuff. Is there anything special that you've done to keep yourself busy and to make fun while we're so limited on activities in the last year?
That's a great question. I'm very big into arts and crafts. So normally now that they opened up things, go to Target and find something and do something with it in the craft section. If not, then normally it's just online shopping or reading. So So.
Any particular fun crafts that you've done that stand out?
Just a lot of paintings. I like to paint a lot. So.
Thank you.
Eric, you've got another question?
Sydney, I wanted to ask because I don't know if you were working with Bobby already at this point, but were you part of the group that was traversing the streets and the medians of the streets in the South Bay to get workouts at times? And if so, how did that compare to running in the hallways at Union Catholic?
Mm-hmm. We have run on some medians for sure. It's definitely not as flat as the hallways of Union Catholic, but it's good to be, outside and running on the dirt and grass. It's a lot easier on the shins, I would say, than those hard hallways for sure.
Does it make you appreciate the value of whether it's at Drake Stadium, Arizona, anywhere in between, like of actually being on a track?
We were so happy just to be able to get on any track. It didn't matter what kind of a track it was. So.
Karen, was that another question or hand still up?
Oh, well, it was hand still up, but I also wanted to ask, just what's it like, how much are you around Jackie Joyner-Kersee?
Not that much. I don't think she's actually in LA at the moment, so I haven't got to see her since I started working with Bobby.
Thanks. Gonna start wrapping it up very soon. Amelia, I can see your hand up. Was that another question or hand still up?
No, sorry, I'll put it down.
Great, but I saw Larry, you've raised your hand, so let's finish it off with Larry.
Sydney, so you're doing the 60 hurdles and the 500. The 500 is probably near your, not your favorite distance. What are you trying to achieve with the 500?
I'm actually not running the 500. I think we decided that we're just going to stick with the hurdles since it's been so long since we've done that. I'm just going to come out and see what we can do in that and then go back to the drawing boards from there.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
That's it. No more hands up. Sydney, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Good luck tomorrow. Enjoy the hurdles, the short ones. And so hopefully in a few months or next year, we'll all see you in person again at this meet. And thank you everyone else for joining us. As we said, we'll make recordings of all the press conferences available. And we'll also be sharing the details for tomorrow's mixed zone for the meet. And we'll share a Dropbox with all the assets. So thank you everyone. And yeah, hopefully see you all in person soon.
Thanks, Sydney.
Thank you. Thanks, Michelle.
Yes, thank you, Michelle, very much.
You're very welcome. I'm glad it worked out.